G'day, it's Adam Hills here with a heads up for Mental Health Australia. Now, I thought we might talk about some of the positives that have come out of this whole situation. And for me, one of the big positives that's come out is spending time with my kids, which has been amazing, but kind of discovering stuff together. And one of the things we've discovered is the music of someone called Madisen Ward and the Mama Bear. And rather than tell you about him, I thought we might just have a chat. So Madisen Ward, it's really good to meet you.
Hello. Good to meet you too. Thanks for having me.
So for those who don't know your music, can you describe it, please?
Well, it's very folky music, acoustic singer-songwriter, very Americana. It's a lot of traditional roots sort of sounds, American roots music that you would hear.
So maybe I should call it a night. Yes, I know I gave it a fight, but now my money is tied, stuck in the city lights.
And at what point did you decide it was your mum that you wanted to do this with?
She was actually performing way before I was, and she had me come up and play some songs during her set in a coffee shop. And so I went up and she wanted me to play some of my originals. I did. We started collaborating and we were like, want to just try to pursue this as a career? And she was like, yeah, let's do it.
So now you tour the world with your mum, but of course, with all of this going on, have you been able to see her?
Not really. through a glass. It's been like, cause like on Mother's Day, you know, like I went over to her house, you know, we're just quarantining from each other, but I went over to her house on Mother's Day, dropped her off some flowers, and she's really resilient, and I think I'm sort of that way too. So we talk on the phone, and it's we're getting by.
What positives have come out of this for you?
I think whenever you are trying to create anything, like you're trying to make music or you're a writer or anything, sometimes whenever you have these guidelines or these parameters, these limits on what you're trying to do, it can force you to make really interesting work. And I find myself doing that with music. I find myself with sometimes focusing more than I have before. And I'm forced to really see a project through to the end. And I've been making these weird things called quarantunes. And a lot of people I'm seeing are making quarantunes, but I can't stop writing them. And I probably need to stop. It's starting to become kind of old news, but I just keep writing them, and I have a few friends that I've sort of done little collaborations with online, and it never would have happened if it wasn't for this lockdown. So I mean, there's some creativity to really come out of this. I think if you're a creative type, I think you're going to find some benefit of being forced to be with yourself in your thoughts.
Well, listen, it's been, you know, one of my loveliest moments was listening to your music a lot. And for anyone watching, the reason that you and I kind of connected was because I was interviewed about what music I'm listening to in lockdown. And I said your music, and then was it your dad that read that?
Yeah, my dad, I think, gets Google alerts anytime that my name comes up on stuff. And he's like, who's this Adam Hills guy he's talking about? I was like, wait, oh, wow, that's awesome. I know your comedy. I'm a huge stand-up fanatic. And I've seen you like on the Apollo. I've seen like YouTube bits of you, and you're incredible, by the way. And yeah, most definitely. And so I was so flattered to see that, and I thought that was really cool. And so I tweeted about it, and then saw you from there.
Well, so then for me, the progression was, you know, yours was my music when I just needed some quiet time to myself, I would listen to. And then gradually my kids would be listening to it. And then my eldest daughter in particular was requesting that we start playing your music while we were doing some homeschooling. So
that's all.
We have a question though. So can you come in? This is BB.
Hi.
Hello. What's going on, BB?
We have a question about the lyrics of Big Yellow Taxi.
Last night I slept in a big yellow taxi. My imagination told me I was in the backseat of gold. That was the story I saw.
So it's last night I slept in a big yellow taxi. My imagination told me I was in the back seat
of gold.
of gold. Daddy was right. That was the story
That was the story I sold.
Hey!
I said it was that one.
Oh, you said it was that one too.
I was in the backseat of gold. That was the story I sold. Even though I had clothes, I froze. Even my jacket was cold. Pick a couple nickels my way. I will get the picking away. A couple licks I can play. And now you're fixing to pay. But everybody's cheap, and now I'm sleeping in my taxi today.
Ready?
Last night I slept in
a big yellow taxi. My imagination told me I was in
the backseat of gold. Yeah.
That was the story I sold.
Even though I had frozen,
Even
jacket was
cold.
Yeah, I love it.
That was great. Thank you so much for having the chat to us.
Hey, of course. Thank you. That made my whole month. That made my whole quarantine.
Likewise. And say hi to your mum for us.
Most definitely will do. Thank you guys so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Love y'all.